The Presidential Steering Committee wishes to put Nigerians on notice that two major religious festivities, Easter and Salah, are approaching, and we shall be experiencing increased passenger traffic in and out of the country. While the PSC prepares to escalate surveillance and other control activities, we urge the states and all Nigerians to also increase their vigilance and take measures to moderate activities. And I have the privilege to call on the DG, Nigerian Center for Disease Control, who will be followed by the representative of the ED, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, and the head of the Technical Secretariat to provide you with further technical details. Once more, I continue to apologize to you for this delayed press or media briefing, but to thank you for the great and wonderful job that you are doing in disseminating information to the Nigerian populace. And I thank you for listening and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Chairman, Presidential Steering Committee on COVID, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, other members of the PSC, ladies and gentlemen of the press. We're now about 2 years into the COVID pandemic, and of course, well before now, the pandemic fatigue that has crept in is now solidified and is palpable. To all Nigerians, we would like you to know that at the NCDC, we can see, we can hear, and we can feel the fatigue that you may be feeling regarding all the public health measures, health and safety measures, the travel protocol, and everything else. And it is in recognition of this feeling that you have had some of the highlights of the changes that have been made to extant public health safety measures, advisories for public health safety measures, and for travel. And as promised by the SGF, more details will come out within the week. However, I'd like to just remind us that despite the fatigue that we feel, many Nigerians have lost loved ones, we have lost friends, we have lost colleagues, we have lost parents, relations, and the health sector has faced pressure like it has never faced before in this century. Indeed, children had faced interruptions to their learning, and we continue to grapple with the economic costs of the pandemic. However, it's not all been just bad news. The truth is that we have all remarkably worked well through this pandemic together. Not perfectly. Yes, there were glitches here and there, but the collaboration between citizens, between agencies of government, between press and other private sector and other partners can only be described as remarkable. Systems have been strengthened to ensure disease surveillance and reporting. There's prompt detection of microorganisms or pathogens of interest in both old and newly established molecular laboratories nationwide. And the national stockpile managed at the NCDC continues to deploy medical commodities across the country where the need arises, and much more. So at this point in time, I would like to appreciate, of course, all of the healthcare workers countrywide, the staff of the NCDC, Federal Ministry of Health, all of the leaders in the various sectors that are represented here and represented in the larger PSC, who have all continued to show commitment to protecting the health of Nigerians and in turn the global community. Well, you've already heard a bit about the epidemiological updates, so I would not dwell too much on that. I think it's important to remind us that despite the COVID-19 surges at the end of last year in association with festivities and at the start of 2022, which coincided with our fourth wave, we've now continued to have case decline consistently over time since then. As highlighted earlier, it is not over until it is over everywhere. The world is a global village, and situations that change, whether it's in Europe or anywhere that has a direct flight to Lagos or Abuja, can affect us within a 6-hour time zone. Well, as you know, in Africa, there's been almost 9 million confirmed cases and almost 200,000 deaths. Thankfully, the situation in Nigeria is one where, despite the excess of 255,000 cases and 3,142 deaths, mortality has continued to stay low, and test positivity has now stayed low effectively since the middle of January. So I guess the question that immediately comes up is, what is next for the COVID-19 pandemic response in the country? I think it's important, before we discuss what is next, again, for me to highlight that despite the declining attention to COVID-19, well, the gentlemen of the press work by news cycle, and we know that the current news cycle is dominated by war in Ukraine. The headlines do not necessarily tell the truth about everything that's going on. So it's important that in your reporting, here and elsewhere on account of COVID. So despite the declining attention, the pandemic is not over, and the risk of new emerging variants is real. We already see that with Omicron, we had what we thought was one lineage. But now we've got sister lineages. We've got BA2 that is described as a sister, that's thought to be responsible for the surges that we are seeing elsewhere, and thought to be more transmissible than its brother, the original variant. However, we must recognize, of course, that we cannot continue to be in response mode. And that is why the answer in response to the question, what next for the COVID pandemic response in Nigeria, is that we would like to switch from response or panic mode to one of consolidation. And this means that as we build back better, taking an all of society approach, we keep an eye on this pandemic, but we prepare to ensure that we can respond appropriately, or we can scale up our response as needed should circumstances change. For example, like with festivities coming up for Easter and Salah. So the NCDC is focused basically on 3 pillars in our efforts to consolidate. We want to maintain surveillance and testing, because if we do not test, then the pathogen is invisible to us and we have no idea what it is up to. We have no idea what's going on in the general population, and we will not have any idea what's going on, what people are bringing into the country. So we will continue our efforts to strengthen surveillance, to ensure that testing continues, and some of the approaches to making sure that testing comes closer to the people and becomes easier is that we will deploy rapid diagnostic tests. We will change the national, we are currently reviewing the national testing strategy, and some of the changes that will come will include the scaling up of the use of rapid diagnostic tests, making rapid diagnostic tests for COVID available at private hospitals, which constitute a significant chunk of the healthcare facilities in our system. We will expand testing with rapid diagnostic tests to our secondary level healthcare facilities, and to the extent that is possible, even down to the primary level. And we will begin to explore ways of making self-testing more practical, and of course, to ensure that the data for self-testing is captured in our national surveillance data. The second pillar of our strategy for consolidation, of course, is genomic surveillance. We will not get material to study the genetic material of this virus if we do not test. So we will, with resources committed by national government, by the Global Fund and other partners, continue to expand our sequencing capacity so that should there be any change, the introduction of any new variants, we will be able to pick that and be able to inform, give advice as to changes that are required to the response as necessary. And finally, as a third pillar, we want to ensure that we retain our capacity to surge. And by surge, our capacity to step up testing, our capacity to step up the response as may be required with any changes in the epidemiology of this virus. Before I close, I'd just like to touch on the concerns regarding the Nigerian International Travel Portal, COVID-19 testing pre and post arrival in Nigeria. As you've heard from the chairman of the committee, there's been significant changes to the travel advisory. And one of the key changes, obviously, is the recognition of vaccination status, full vaccination status, and the removal of the need for a pre-departure PCR test. As has been highlighted earlier, more information regarding these changes will come. But I think it's important to highlight that regardless of those changes, we will continue to have a means of recording or tracking travel in and out of the country, particularly inbound travel, using the portal. And we continue to work on any challenges that arise in terms of the functionality of the site to ensure that steady improvements are made and it continues to offer a seamless interface to citizens and others who are traveling into the country as we continue to use this as a surveillance tool to assure our health security. Please, just as we study the travel advisory for the countries that we are going to, please do the same for your own country. The fact that we are Nigerian citizens and we are returning to our country is not an excuse for entropy, it's not an excuse for disorderliness, it's not an excuse for lawlessness. If there are complaints, please report the glitches that you may see or the challenges that you may experience with use of the travel portal through the advertised channels of communication. There are people waiting to respond to you at the time. Sadly, if you post your complaint on Facebook or on other Twitter handles, those are not the channels for, there aren't people monitoring those channels or those platforms to respond to travel portal issues. And therefore, you will not get a solution to your problem, and you will not be recorded to even help us to improve the system for others to use. It's important that I also highlight that the NITP, while it is hosted on the NCDC domain, was developed by the private sector in the beginning of the response, and it's just managed by us as Nigerians in the public sector. The NCDC does not receive any funding. Any of the funds that are paid for travel testing, all of these go to the bank and to the labs that are conducting your tests. Testing in public laboratories remain free of charge for public health purposes and for case management and contact tracing. It is testing for travel that was paid for by individuals and conducted in the private sector. Finally, if you are yet to receive your COVID-19 vaccine, please, this is the fourth pillar of our consolidation phase as we moved into a post-COVID-19 response mode. It is essential that you get your COVID vaccination. So please check the MPHCDA website for available sites. Look out around you, share information regarding vaccination with people around you, and make sure that you receive your 2 doses as well as your booster doses, which will strengthen your immunity and prevent severe disease and hospitalization. The NCDC continues to work with a focus on protecting the health of Nigerians, not against public health threats, and not just COVID, but everything else that is going on even at the moment, such as Lassa fever, meningitis, cholera, etc., etc. Please continue to work with us as we do this. Thank you all very much for your attention.
Very much, DG NCDC. Today, the Executive Director, National Primary Healthcare, Development Agency is being represented by the Director, Basi Oposun. Please, you have a stand. The Chairman of the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19 and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, members of the PAC, permit me to stand on existing protocol because of time. Be giving these updates on COVID-19 vaccination in Nigeria on behalf of the Chief Executive NPST, Dr. Faisal. Welcome you all to this event, and to mention that as of today, the 21st of March 2022, a total of 20,259,242 eligible persons have been given the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine in Nigeria. Out of this number, 11,031,267 have received their second or single dose of COVID-19 Johnson & Johnson. Our state performance data shows that 5 states, namely Nasarawa, Jigawa, Ogun, Kwara, and FCT, have consistently given us high number of persons that have been vaccinated. On the other hand, there are 5 states, namely Imo, Bayelsa, Anambra, Ebonyi, and Akwa Ibom State that have recorded the least number of vaccination, recording less than 5% of the expected eligible persons in their states. Just last week, we met with commissioners of 9 states that have finalized their micro plan, where we are targeting integration of services so that at the health facility level, the clients will not just receive COVID-19 vaccine, but will have the opportunity of administering routine immunization to their eligible children and also receiving other services. Those states we have engaged already include Ebonyi, Imo, Osun, Ogun, Zamfara, Nasarawa states. These states finalized the plans earlier than others. Next week, we'll be engaging with the remaining 27 states and the FCT, where we'll also review their plans to ensure that what is available for them in terms of resources are efficiently being used to ensure that we administer the COVID-19 vaccination and other PAC services to eligible persons in the country. Let me remind Nigerians once again to take advantage of the availability of Johnson & Johnson and become fully vaccinated against COVID-19 with only 1 dose of the vaccine. Let us also remember that our optimized care strategy makes it possible for eligible children to receive childhood vaccination at any of our COVID-19 vaccination sites. May I seize this opportunity to invite you all to our primary healthcare summit scheduled to hold on Thursday and Friday, 24th and 25th of March 2022 at the International Conference Center here in Abuja. The summit, which will have speakers and panelists drawn from the private sector, partners, global public health experts, the government at federal, state, and LGA, the academia, and non-governmental organizations, promises to be a great turning point in our strategic drive towards reforming primary healthcare delivery in Nigeria. Thank you for listening. God bless you all. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Dr. Faisal Swab, ED, CEO, and PhD. Thank you.
Chairman, Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19 and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, members of the PSC here present, ladies and gentlemen of the press. I'm greatly delighted to welcome you to this press briefing, which is the first since the new year. There is no doubt that there are some questions and concerns in the minds of many people on the state of affairs of the national response since the last time we held our media briefing and our international travel protocol issues. We are therefore here this evening to answer your questions, throw more light on the concerns you may have, and provide you with updates on what we've been doing since the beginning of the year. As you are aware, the country entered its fourth wave of COVID-19 by the end of the second week in December, which heralded the arrival of the Omicron variant, and the PSC swiftly responded to this fourth wave by putting in place additional measures to speedily identify new cases, isolate them, treat those that needed treatment at our case management facilities. We also strengthened surveillance, particularly at the points of entry, and revised our international travel protocol to minimize the risk of importation of the Omicron variant. These proactive measures, which are driven by science, is driven by what has been put in place and has paid off, as we have now seen the end of the fourth wave of the pandemic in our country since over a month ago. I wish to thank Nigerians and the media particularly for the roles you have played in helping to achieve this successful containment. However, as we continue to express our gratitude to God, to Nigerians, and to our development partners, we must not fail to warn that the cases of COVID-19 are still continue to rise in some places, and there is a possibility of a fifth wave of the pandemic in the country, particularly as we approach these celebration periods of Easter and Salah. WHO has announced recently that new cases have continued to rise in about 44 countries in the world, and we must not let down our guards, but rather we must intensify our surveillance activities, early detection, as well as prevention efforts. It is with this that I will go ahead now and inform you about the revised international travel protocol for the country. Many people have expressed concern that Nigeria has not relaxed its travel protocol, while other countries have been doing that in the last few weeks. We did not act under pressure, but rather we allowed data to lead us and to also use pragmatism to do what will be right to protect our people. So it is for this that we have this three-tiered approach, which are scenarios. If global cases continue to decline and there is no threat of an emerging new variant that is more virulent, then effective from April 4th, 2022, inbound passengers to Nigeria are no longer required to carry out COVID-19 PCR test before they board. However, on arrival, rapid testing or samples will be taken on arrival. And passengers who are not vaccinated or who are partially vaccinated will need to do the 48-hour PCR test before departure, as well as pay for a PCR test on day 2 as well as day 7. Children that are below the age of 18 are exempted, even if they are unvaccinated, from pre-boarding PCR, but will have their samples taken on arrival. For outbound passengers, as you heard earlier on, Nigerians are advised to be fully vaccinated and to comply with the requirements of the destination countries. If in any case we have a threat by the emergence of a new variant and global cases continue to rise, and this variant happens to be of high fatality, the PSC will not hesitate to reduce the risk of importation in the country by returning back some of the protocols, such as 48-hour PCR testing. If, however, the new variant is not associated with high fatality, we may not need to revise the protocol. We hope that our vaccination drive is going to continue. People are going to come out and take their first, second, and even booster doses, improve our vaccination coverage, such that when it reaches a particular level, a critical level, that we are comfortable with, some of the restrictions and even the mandates may be removed. The PSC also reviewed the National Implementation Guideline, which, as you are aware, is currently effective, even though we are aware people are not complying as much. So from today, the PSC has removed curfew, which is observed from 12 midnight till 4 a.m. Use of face mask is encouraged to be used indoors, particularly in closed places. People should continue to wear their face mask in offices, in malls, in shops. However, in open spaces where there is not too much crowding, there may be no need to wear that face mask. If, however, the gathering is large, people are again encouraged to use their discretion and use face mask. Use of face mask is important for people with comorbidities, those who have hypertension, diabetes, or other immunosuppressed conditions, and also it's compulsory to use face mask when are enclosed in transport, public transport, air, road, and rail systems. The PSC has removed the gathering of 50 persons limit for indoors, bars and nightclubs to open to 50%. Restaurants are allowed to open fully, but again, people need to be cautious and use your face mask where necessary. The PSC has also suspended the limit placed on places of worship, which was earlier on 50%, so they can now operate with full capacity. We've also suspended the 50% capacity limit for recreational facilities. Again, people are encouraged to use your discretion, stay safe, take your vaccination, and use your face mask where necessary. At a period when political activities are gaining momentum in the country, we urge congregants and those responsible to treat cautiously and use safety precaution as necessary. Finally, the PSC last year held a COVID-19 National Summit, the communique of which has been shared with the press. However, it's important to bring to your notice that one of the key resolutions of the summit was building a structure for management of national biosecurity. This is taking us into the future so that beyond COVID-19, we have a formidable framework and a plan to be able to address bio threats, chemical threats, and other non-biological threats. I wish to urge all Nigerians to take responsibility to protect themselves, their loved ones, and community members from COVID-19 transmission. The battle against COVID-19 is not yet over. As such, there is need for cautious optimism as we resolutely march towards ending the pandemic by the end of the year. Thank you.
We thank you very much. The technical head, Dr. Mukhtar, has been quite explicit. We now have opportunity to take a few of your questions as we are now running straight into the news. Do we have questions? I think it's very clear. No questions? Okay. Rachel, take the first shot, please.
Thank you, Dr. Mukhtar. We're hoping that you're going to explain the relationship between the Nigerian Travel Protocol, NCDC, private sector, and of course the Port Authority. Let's know their roles. And if the private sector people are saying that, look, this money goes to the Presidential Steering Committee, what goes to them? Just this clarification. And for the DG NCDC, I'm surprised to hear that it's the private sector that actually mapped up the travel protocols. Why? Because the former DG told us that NCDC was doing that for them. Dr. Faisal's representative, Dr. Bassi, please, can you tell us how the vaccine campaign is faring as of today in Nigeria? What vaccines do we have? How many are close to expiration? Thank you very much.
Please, let's have the response from DG NCDC, to be followed by ED, representative of ED, National Primary Healthcare.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the question. It says something about private sector and travel protocol. I didn't say anything about the private sector making travel protocol. So what's the question exactly?
We needed to probe the Ministry of Health. Now, we got to know just today that this protocol is being drafted by the private lab people, and the NCDC only supported. And we've been having continuous stories where the NCDC said, look, we drafted this thing and we are watching them. So why do we have people coming into Nigeria not testing and they still pay for this test? That's the problem, sir. So maybe help us to explain. We know where the part NCDC is playing. We know the part private sectors are playing. Thank you.
So it's misuse of the word protocol. So the travel advisory or protocol, which is a collection of procedures that people who are traveling in and out of the country are meant to follow, as you would, I think I've guessed by now, is a PSC decision. So PSC has just conveyed to Nigerians and to you in the audience on behalf of Nigerians the changes that have been made to that travel protocol. So it's PSC who decides, of course, based on technical advice that the NCDC will provide, based on advice that MPHCDA will provide, based on advice that WHO will provide, and other people that are in the sector, aviation, port health, the Ministry of Health, case management, etc. We all make recommendations, and a decision is made about taking into account epidemiology, taking into account risk, about what we require for travelers to follow. Okay? So if we decide travelers need to do a test within 48 hours before they leave the country they are returning from, That is a PSC decision, okay, based, of course, on advice from all of this. But so we never said at any time that the private sector or anybody else outside of PSC makes protocol, because that is clearly not true. I mean, even before I arrived, I followed this particular press conference where the PSC gives you updates on everything that is regarding the pandemic and even the public health safety measures and travel advisory. So that decision is made here. Now, in terms of perhaps what you are referring to is travel testing and the travel portal. Yes, the travel portal was developed with the assistance of the private sector, corporate Nigeria as part of COVID and all of that. And the NCDC currently hosts and administers the travel portal. So that's the correct situation with that. Now, with respect to people who should know better, making allegations about whether testing occurs or does not occur, I think you have listened to this committee long enough. You've listened to my predecessor long enough. There are the labs to go and investigate and test to know whether things happen or not. It is incorrect for anybody to say travel testing does not happen or reagents do not happen, are not available, or that is blatantly false. And as the fourth realm, of course, you have a right not to necessarily re-echo or recirculate unconfirmed information, regardless of who says it. You could have called me or called any of the labs and said, look, we want to come in and have a look at what happens, and we would have been glad to give you a tour or glad to introduce you to any of the labs in any of the states where testing is done. So that claim was incorrect, and I think that colleagues should have what you've had and reported over the years since 2020 does not suddenly change overnight. Some attempt should have been made to verify that before enhancing or echoing that incorrect information. I hope that answers your question. Or is there any gaps? I'd be glad to address that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rachel, for the questions. We are on phase 3 of COVID-19 vaccination in Nigeria. We started the phase 1 in March 2021, the phase 2 in May, and then the phase 3 commenced in November. Then on the 22nd of February, the phase 3 was relaunched and tagged as the optimized scale strategy, which goes beyond just COVID-19 vaccination to providing integrated services to the clients. Now, how is it faring? Yes, looking at the challenges we had from the beginning where we did not have enough vaccine, to the Q4 where we now started having enough. In Q1 2022, as we are now, we have enough. We can inform Nigerians that as of today, we have received into the country about 68 million doses of the vaccine. In combination, we have the AstraZeneca vaccine, we have the Pfizer, we have the Moderna, and then also the Johnson & Johnson. These are the 4 vaccines we are currently using now in Nigeria. And as of today, the 21st of March 2022, we have so far administered the first dose to about 20,259,242 eligible persons. And of this number, about 11,039,267 have been fully vaccinated. When we talk of the fully vaccinated, it's made up of those who have either received 2 doses of the AstraZeneca, Moderna, or Pfizer, and of course, with the relaunch, we introduced the Johnson & Johnson, have received the first dose of the Johnson & Johnson. And we also have about 739,402 persons who have so far received the booster doses. Now, when you look at the target we have, 112,000 we're targeting to reach, and the numbers we have reached so far, we have just reached 9.9. I'm sure by tomorrow we'll be able to reach exactly 10% of the people we are targeting. This is very far compared to what we see in other countries. Nigerians have heard enough, and they've said so many things. We've heard those who have said, if you receive the vaccine in 2 years, you will die, and so many kind of things. I just want Nigerians to be encouraged to know that this is not true. Our presidents, our vice, the chair of the PSC, and everyone that is here, we have the country of WHO, all our ministers have received the vaccine. If it's true and they will not receive, let's not allow people to deceive us. These rumors and misinformation that are going around is one of the things that are responsible for the slow rates of utilization in the country. I want to encourage Nigerians to please come out and receive these vaccines. They are safe and effective. Those who have received their full doses, if for any reason come in contact with the virus, they remain asymptomatic, or even when they are positive, have very mild symptoms, and the mortality rate among them is very low. So please, let's come out and receive the vaccines. And again, just to add to what the DG and CDC have said, these rules are not made by the public or private sector. The chair of the committee sat with the entire team that you are seeing here, and some of our ministers, the Minister of Health, his Minister of State, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, his Permanent Secretary, were all part of the meeting. He's been, and I thank God for leaders like him who can sit for long to listen and discuss, to take decisions. The meeting started by 3 o'clock and did not finish until after 8 that we came in here. I'm sure you were all waiting till 5 o'clock that we were expecting the meeting to finish. The meeting did not finish because the discussion was not over. And we could hear the chair of the PSC apologizing that you have stayed long. I want to thank his humility, because some will not even apologize, because since 3 o'clock he's been sitting with the team to take decisions. So let's just put away, when we hear people saying it's the private sector that made this rule for us, it's not true. It's developed by the members of the PSC, and that is exactly what he read based on the discussions we had today. Let's not believe that it comes from anywhere else. And of course, we heard him very clearly when he said he's given a summary of what it's all about. In the next few days, the full details of the entire discussion of today will be published so that you have a complete information. Please, I want to use the opportunity to encourage the work you are all doing as media. Please continue to tell Nigerians that these vaccines are safe and effective. We should not wait until we have the experience India had. We don't know a variant that will come that might sweep off our feet. Hence the need for us to be fully vaccinated, have at least 70% of our population vaccinated so that we can stop the transmission and also be able to stop possibility of variants multiplying in Nigeria. Thank you for the work you are doing. Thank you. I mentioned 4. I had mentioned 4. I can still repeat. We have AstraZeneca, we have Pfizer, we have Moderna, and we have Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson is single dose. The rest 3 are 2 doses with a booster. For now, those are the vaccines. And I also mentioned, as of today, we have enough of the vaccines in Nigeria. We have received 68 million doses already, and we also have a allocation of 47 million doses that will be delivered anytime we want. So we have enough for Nigerians. Then lastly, I also said all the vaccines we use currently are very safe and effective. Thank you.
Okay, Raquel, let me just approach your question from a different angle. You recall that since the reintroduction of international flights in September 2020, we knew that travel protocol has to be done differently from testing for public health interest. And therefore, we divided it into 2. We have people who want a test. People who want a test are people who, just out of their volition, decided that I want to be tested.
with encouragement from Mr. President and support to make sure that there is peace in Imo State.
Imo imbroglio. President Buhari summons governors over resurgence of violent crisis in Imo.
Everything was in Calabar. So question is, what are we doing here? I believe that the court ought to have transferred this matter to the Calabar Judicial Division of the Federal High Court.
Court sacks 18 State House of Assembly members and 2 House of Representatives members over defection. A loaded monetary policy committee meeting and the crystal ball for the nation's economy. Welcome to NTA Network News. I am Kene Ima Abodike live in Abuja. Michael Olaleye is in Lagos. Welcome. You can follow this news broadcast live on our website, nta.ng/live, and on YouTube channel, NTA News Online. You can also visit our Twitter handle at NTA News Now, Facebook page, NTA Network News, and Instagram, NTA Network for updates. The Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliyu, is reassuring Nigerians that the power outages being experienced across the country will soon be a thing of the past, as critical steps have been taken towards the restoration of normalcy. He said the president has given him clear directives to dismantle all obstacles towards achieving a stable, adequate and affordable power supply. State House correspondent Adamu Sabo reports that the president also engaged his economic advisor, Professor Doyin Salami.
The president summoned me to come and brief him, give him first-hand information on what is happening.
President Muhammadu Buhari had recently voiced his concern over the frequent power outages, apologized to Nigerians, and assured them of a quick relief to the situation. During his engagement with the Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliyu held behind closed doors. All the critical issues involved were thoroughly analyzed, especially the inadequate gas supply as well as the low generation on the national grid. The minister briefed the president
on an emergency basis to see how we can mop around and gather more megawatts and push on the grid. And a couple of other things that we have agreed to do, and we are chasing them now. They have started yielding result. So you can see now that it's evident that something is being done.
Abubakar Aliyu assured Nigerians that President Muhammadu Buhari is committed to achieving a stable and adequate power supply in the country for a prosperous future. He promised not to leave anything to chance in the execution of his mandate in line with the vision and mission of the president.
There is no cause for alarm. We are on top of it, and the president is very concerned. As you can see, he just came back from journey, and I happen to be one of his first guests. So that shows concern of Mr. President to what is happening. We will not relent. We will continue to do all things necessary to ensure that we keep giving Nigerians electricity.
The newly appointed economic advisor to the president, Dr. Doyin Salami, was also summoned by the Nigerian leader. Details of their engagement held behind closed doors were, however, not disclosed. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And worried over the resurgence of violent crimes in Imo State after months of respite, President Muhammadu Buhari this Monday summoned Governor Hope Uzodinma for detailed briefing and strategies for lasting solutions. Again, State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the report.
Imo, the eastern heartland, has been quite unstable for quite some time. But the mood of optimism for lasting peace was recently punctured with the attacks on critical assets of the Nigeria police as well as the country home of President General of Ohaneze Ndibo, Professor George Obiozo. Governor Hope Uzodinma, summoned by President Muhammadu Buhari out of genuine concern over the worrisome development, is to find facts with a view to effectively strategizing on ways and means of decisively dealing with the situation.
To discuss what is required to ensure that it is properly controlled, and he took seriously my recommendations, and indeed I can tell you he immediately gave approval to all that, which includes increase in manpower to security agencies, and then other logistic supports ranging from additional arms and ammunition, making use of our local vigilante and the involvement of community leaders.
The Imo State Governor did not elaborate further on measures to be adopted towards controlling and containing the situation. He, however, expressed serious optimism that President Muhammadu Buhari will not hand over a troubled Nigeria to the next administration.
I can tell you that we have a statesman, a nationalist as a president. And there has never been a time I presented to him any request that will benefit the people that he did not approve. So, and that is why I'm excited anytime I'm before him. Because the man thinks Nigeria, dreams Nigeria, and is living for Nigeria. Only logic makes sense to him. Good logic. I have gotten every encouragement from Mr. President and support to make sure that there is peace in Imo State. The only remaining one is left for security agencies to do their investigation quickly, unravel those behind this thing, and then bring them to book.
Governor Uzodimma also used the opportunity to reassure Nigerians that the forthcoming national convention of the governing APC will be held not only as planned, but successfully too.
The APC is the party to beat. So the wish of our opponents is to see that APC is scattered or is not united. But that is their wishful thinking. I want to assure you that we will have a very peaceful, very successful convention on Saturday.
The APC National Convention comes up on the 26th of this month. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Let's go to the judiciary, where the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has sacked 18 members of the Cross River State House of Assembly who defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress. Omenka Amarachukwu reports.
The People's Democratic Party (PDP) had filed the suit challenging the defection of some PDP lawmakers to All Progressive Congress (APC) after they were elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party (PDP). Justice Taiwo, in his judgment, held that the lawmakers haven't abandoned their political party that brought them to power or to have vacated their seats.
It's a victory for the individual litigants, but it's a victory for the Constitution. This is another major decision upholding our constitutional provisions.
Everything was in Calabar. So question is, what are we doing here? I believe that the court ought to have transferred this matter to the Calabar Judicial Division of the Federal High Court. But there are so many other reasons. So, like I told the judge, in law, we have 90 days under Section 25A of the Court of Appeal Act to appeal.
Another development, the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory has issued a warrant of arrest against a former House of Representatives member, Chuman Zeribe, for disobedience of order of the court. Justice Halilu Yusuf, who issued the arrest warrants, ordered the operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) and other security agencies of the government to arrest Zeribe in any part of the country. In Abuja, Umenka Mrachuku, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Ebonyi State Governor, David Umahi, has called for calm following the outcome of the motion he filed at the Federal High Court, Abuja, seeking state of execution, which was struck out days after he was sacked from office by the same court. Chika Okere reports that Governor Umahi was speaking during APC stakeholders meeting in Abakaliki.
The state APC stakeholders meeting was another moment to re-strategize in order to nib in the bud factors that could hinder the party's victory in the forthcoming general elections in 2023. In his remarks, Governor David Umahi explained why the motion of stay of execution he filed at the Federal High Court Abuja was struck out. He further emphasized the need for credible and generally acceptable candidates to fly the flag of APC at different elective positions. Chairman of the Ebonyi APC Zoning Committee, Chief Austin Umahi, speaking on behalf of other members.
One assurance is that these members are carefully selected and we are going to discharge our conscience in such a way that the governor, the party, the deputy that set us on this mission, they will be proud.
In Abakaliki, Chika Okori, NTA News.
Now, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, says the former governor of Anambra State, Willie Obiano, has been granted bail. Chairman of the commission, Abdul Rashid Bauer, disclosed this while speaking to newsmen in Abuja. He, however, said the former governor is yet to perfect his bail conditions and, as such, is still in the custody of the commission.
He has been granted bail. We are waiting for him to fulfill his bail conditions. He has been cooperating with us, and everything is going on well.
The former Anambra State governor was arrested at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, by the officials of the commission while trying to leave the country shortly after handing over to the new governor, Professor Charles Soludo. Kirawa, a border community in Abuja local government area of Borno State, will be resettled in the next 3 weeks as rebuilding work has reached appreciable level. This was brought to the fore when Governor Babagana Umar Zulum visited the community to assess progress of work preparatory to its resettlement. Mohammed Goni reports.
On arrival at the Multinational Joint Task Force base at Kirawa, Professor Babagana Umar Zulum was conducted around by the Commander General Buba to inspect 517 bicycles and a number of motorcycles seized from the insurgents being used to transport food and non-food items between Sambisa Forest and Mandara Mountains. Governor Babagana Umar Zulum expressed appreciation to the Multinational Joint Task Force under the Cameroonian military and the Nigerian Armed Forces for restoration of peace in the area and other parts of the state, assuring support of the Nigerian Authority through a high-powered repatriation and resettlement committee headed by the Vice President with him as the chairman. The governor also commended the civilian JTF hunters and vigilante for their efforts, assuring them support and provision of logistics, even as he charged them to cooperate and work under the command of the MJTF. Governor Zulum later walked through Kirawa community to assess the progress of work and proceeded to residence of the district head, where he addressed residents of Kirawa community taking refuge in Cameroonian border town for the last 8 years, assuring them that government will resettle them in their ancestral home.
Most importantly, government of Borno State, the Northeast Development Commission, Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, as well as the federal government, will do everything possible to support each and every individual that is willing to come back home in a voluntary manner, as well as in a dignified manner, under the Kampala Convention.
The governor also charged the people to cooperate with the military and report people with suspicious character to the authority. He re-echoed the call to insurgents to lay down their arms and embrace peace, as no harm will come to them. Leadership and stakeholders of the area that include Senator Muhammad Alindumi, member representing Goza Chibok and Dumboa Federal Constituency, Ahmed Usman Jaha, expressed appreciation to Governor Zulum for his commitment towards resettlement of displaced communities and assured their support to the success of the exercise.
From Kirawa community in Goza local government, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
In another development, stakeholders involved in the post-insurgency recovery program in Borno State have recommended a significant injection of resources in the Marshall Plan for reconstruction in the states that suffered most as epicenter of the Boko Haram conflict. This formed part of issues discussed at a one-day consultative forum on Northeast Stabilization and Development Master Plan of the Northeast Development Commission (NEDC) held in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. Maimuna Garaba reports.
The Northeast Development Commission Consultative Forum taking place in the 6 states of the geopolitical zone is part of a broad-based approach to carry all stakeholders along in the actualization of the mandate to revive all areas devastated by the conflict. Representatives of Borno State government, other arms, tiers of government, civil society organizations, women groups, security, traditional and religious leaders praised the NEDC for setting the Northeast in the course of recovery with viable projects.
The Commission to also look into the possibility of complementing government efforts
in developing and implementing viable and workable strategies on how best to address the current challenges posed by the thousands of repentant Boko Haram members who are currently encamped in the state capital.
The committee as the focal point to coordinate and harmonize all other intervention programs initiated in that member state, the federal government, and all stakeholders will execute for the stabilization and development of the region.
At the technical session of the consultative meeting, stakeholders in Borno were of the view that the NEDC roadmap is a clear indication of the federal government's commitment towards the reconstruction of destroyed communities and the ongoing resettlement process initiated by the Governor Zulum administration. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari sent warm greetings to former special assistants to the president, media, between 1999 and 2001 and senior special assistant to the President's Public Affairs between 2012 and 2015, Dr. Doina Okupe, joining family and friends to celebrate with the medical doctor who served the nation in many capacities. President Buhari knows the worthy contributions of Dr. Okupe to the political development of the country, setting out the contest election in the Second Republic at a young age and working assiduously for the return of the country to full democracy. The president believes Dr. Okupe's background as a medical doctor brought his wealth of experience to bear in his service. President Buhari praised that the publisher and the Democrat will thrive in good health, strength, and more wisdom as he thanks a septuagenarian. You're watching NTA Network News. Time for our first break. Do stay with us.
Oh, I see this collab wearing a suit. Yeah, give me small new number now. Romance without finance now, annoyance. Better give me ball. Yeah, give me the number. So yeah, jot the number down. 0805. Where the complete number? It's always so hot, like the guys are gonna need juice, so just like juices. Hey, where give me last numbers? My 5 password. 41 are you owe me? Oh yeah, 7650. What's you? What's you? Smiley, hello, how are you? Guys, the first collab on the train, dude.
Find your first. Choose a social data bundle that suits your style. Dial *777#. Glow Unlimited.
The Federal Ministry of Health, in conjunction with the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, heartily welcomes His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osibajo, GCON, the Senate President, Distinguished Senator Ahmed Lawal, the Right Honorable Speaker, House of Representatives, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, all members of the National Assembly, and the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, to the 2-day Primary Healthcare Summit held in Abuja, Nigeria, on the theme, Reimagining Primary Healthcare in Nigeria. We also heartily welcome our implementation partners, private sector stewards, state governors, the Honorable Minister of Finance, the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, and all stakeholders in the primary healthcare space. The date is Thursday, 24th and Friday, 25th March 2022. Venue, Abuja International Conference Center, Central Area, Abuja. Time, 9 a.m. Dr. Osagi Ehanire, Honorable Minister of Health, announcer.
For further information, visit www.phcsummit2022.com.
You want go shake your body, instead they make it calm down. If the pump say you tabi, you want to grow 6 packs in a day. You know you pass your power. You want to show yourself.
Whatever your size, find it with the new Airtel data plans. Dial *141# now to get the plan that suits you. Airtel, the smartphone network.
The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development cordially invites the Chairman, Senate and House Committees on matters relating to poverty alleviation, IDPs and social development, ministers, governors, permanent secretaries, heads of agencies of the ministry, partners, media and other relevant stakeholders to its humanitarian open house and launch of the IDP policy. Theme: Coordinating for Durable Humanitarian Solutions. The journey so far. Date: Tuesday, 22nd March 2022. Venue: Ladi Kwali Hall, Sheraton Hotel, Abuja. Time: 10 a.m. prompt. Chief host: Sadia Umar Farouk, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. Bashir Nura Alkali, Permanent Secretary. Announcer. Executive Secretary, National Commission for Colleges of Education, NCCE, Professor Paulinus Chijoke Okwele, invites all heads and chief executive officers of parastatals under the Federal Ministry of Education and the following to a national summit on the future of Nigeria's certificate in education under the chairmanship of the Honorable Minister of Education, Malam Adamu. Guest of honor, the Minister of State for Education, Honorable Barrister Chukwuemeka Nwajuiba. Theme: The Nigeria Certificate in Education, The Way Forward. Date: 23rd to 24th March 2022. Time: 10 a.m. daily. Venue: BO UKG Hall, NCCE Headquarters, Abuja. Please note, all COVID protocols shall be strictly observed. You can join via Zoom with meeting ID and passcode as displayed. For further inquiries, contact the Director Planning, Research and Statistics on 0803-2100-453. Executive Secretary, NCCE. Announcer.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Network News. Up next is Business News with Benny Adams.
Thank you, Kenny, and welcome to Business. We start by telling you that Nigeria is set to boost foreign earnings, increase investment, and contribute to the economy by keying into a global halal market. The market is estimated to be about $2.6 trillion in value, with a 1.9 billion customer base across 112 countries. To this end, the Minister of State, Industry, Trade and Investment, Mariam Katagum, has inaugurated a 14-man committee with the responsibility of developing a roadmap and operational framework for halal certification in Nigeria.
To advise on how to ensure and promote collaboration and synergy among stakeholders in both the public and private sectors on halal. And finally, to consider any other matter that will develop and promote halal in Nigeria.
Halal food market recorded sales of approximately $2 trillion in 2020 and is expected to reach approximately $3 trillion by 2024.
And on the capital market, it's a negative open day for Nigerian equities market as investors lost 16.56 billion naira, with the all-share index dipping by 0.07% to close the market at 47,251.93 basis points. Market capitalization also went down to 25.466 trillion naira. 213.569 million shares were traded by investors in 4,485 deals, valued at 2.675 billion naira. Market breadth closed negative as Guinness led 15 gainers as against 21 losers, topped by Reed Briscoe at the end of today's session. The financial services sector led the activity chart with Access, Zenith Bank and UBA as most active to boost market turnover. That is a business news. Kenny, you can take it from here for more business.
Benny Adams with business news there. Let's quickly tell you that the Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee has voted to retain policy rates and parameters in what experts see as a safe position in line with prevailing economic fundamentals. Leah Katung Babatunde reports that the committee's decision also relied heavily on global supply disruptions occasioned by the Russian-Ukrainian war.
Nigeria began the year on a positive economic trajectory after sustained growth indications, but by February inflation rose a notch higher to 15.7%, with oil supply disruptions pointed out as the culprit. These shortage and other factors point to the direction of continuous rising inflation. This is not an isolated case, as already global food supplies are being threatened by the crisis between Russia and Ukraine that jointly account for 35% of global wheat supply.
it is just reasonable that central bank should step in to support the fiscal, to fill that space, not through grants, but through loans to our smallholder farmers, through loans to our small and medium enterprise businesses, through loans to our households.
Considering the visible fragility and uncertainty, the Monetary Policy Committee voted to hold all rates constant.
Based on the foregoing, the committee decided to adopt a hold stance, as it would indicate a precautionary and consistent policy stance with the prevailing economic conditions, particularly as further economic and financial shock are exerted from the ongoing Russian-Ukraine war.
Emefiele said monetary and fiscal stimulus is expected to still be in place until economic stability is achieved. And as the world continues to buckle under the effects of the Russian-Ukrainian war, global lenders are also facing concerns about how the member countries are going to repay the loans and support they received in the course of the global pandemic. Now, Nigeria alone got about $3.4 billion from the IMF. Will Nigeria be devaluing, or will Nigeria be taking steps to safeguard the currency? Well, the central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele, says Nigeria's central bank remains a development finance institution and will remain so on the side of the Nigerian people. From the headquarters of the Central Bank of Nigeria in Abuja, I'm Leah Katun.
Thank you very much, Leah. Now, joining us live in the studio is Dr. Taifa Abraham and Economics. You're welcome to the Network News tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Let's quickly go to the issues here. Monetary policy rates have again been retained amid energy challenge. And of course, why this decision, as some expected more liquidity in spite of inflation?
Playing safe is a watchword for the central bank. The central bank is the apex bank for monetary policy, meaning its core function is to ensure financial system stability. And it does that through ensuring that commercial banks do not panic. Monetary policy rate is the benchmark interest rate for the central bank. And on that basis, every other financial player price their own borrowing or loanable interest rate on that. So the concept is this: once through the liquidity market, through the money market, central bank ensures that the interest rate is not too high so that it won't discourage borrowing. Borrowing is a major input for businesses to operate and expand. So if central bank raises the monetary policy rate, other financial players are likely to price that increase in monetary policy rate in addition to inflation rate, and that will raise the cost of loanable funds to almost 30 to 35%. So for the central bank, even though energy prices are unstable, it's important to play safe, to maintain status quo, to see how the crisis in Ukraine will play out. Hopefully, if it settles fast, then the global economy will rejig itself and the central bank can begin to play around its monetary policy parameters. Aside the monetary policy rate that the central bank held at 11.5%, don't forget there's an asymmetric corridor around it that goes from minus 700 basis points to plus 100 basis points, meaning the monetary policy rate can stay within the bandwidth of 4.5% to 12.5%. So around this corridor, financial market can price their financial product. Then the other one is the cash reserve ratio and then the liquidity ratio. All these are money market parameters to help maintain financial system stability and help keep banks thriving in business without raising a shock on those who want to borrow money for businesses. So commercial banks must stay healthy in that regard.
All right, in this same context, President Buhari is expected to inaugurate a petrochemical company tomorrow. I hope you know.
Yeah.
Now, will this make any impact on the recent challenge and the economy?
Certainly it will. That petrochemical plant has a 900,000 metric tons per annum capacity. It runs alongside the Dangote refinery. It's like a forerunner, if I may. And that petrochemical plant hopes to contribute to pipes, to plumbing, all the work we need in terms of laying pipes for building, for petrochemical plant expansion, even for the refinery that we're looking forward to run. All this plant that will be inaugurated tomorrow is something that will serve as a forerunner, as a feed into that business. Then the president will also be supervising the Lekki Deep Sea project. That is also another aspect where we make a lot of money from in terms of our maritime revenue. 90% of trade in Nigeria comes through the sea, and all of them comes through the maritime transport. So ensuring that our maritime transport is ready to help us attract a lot of revenue in this time that we need revenue cannot be overemphasized. So it's a good move in the right direction.
We'd like to thank you for speaking to us tonight on NTA Network News.
My pleasure, anytime. Thank you.
We just spoke with Dr. Taifa Abraham, an economist. Now, Nigeria's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Zubairu Dada, has joined his counterparts from other member nations, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation in Islamabad, Pakistan, for the 48th session of the OIC's Foreign Ministry Ministers Conference, with the theme Building Partnerships and for Justice, or Unity and Development. The conference will open on Tuesday with Nigeria's interest focused on security, economic development, and post-COVID-19.
There are lots and lots of benefits that we believe talking together we should be able to derive from this body, as we have also done actually in the past. And therefore, I look forward to a very fruitful deliberation, rubbing of minds on issues of interest.
Now, some staff of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, have been honored for serving the commission meritoriously for a period of 10 to 25 years. Osinachi Abraham reports that the award is part of strategies to motivate staff to be more dedicated for better service delivery.
For 15 years, congratulations. In recognition of your 25 years meritorious service to the Commission.
It was an inspiring moment for these staff as they took turns to receive the honor done them for optimal performance. Director Administration Charles Aban, who represented the interim administrator Effiong Akwa, said the award is designed to encourage staff discharge their duties with a high sense of responsibility.
The intention is to encourage them to work harder, to encourage them to interact within the workplace, and so that others will also follow them.
Director Human Resources Silas Anyanwu, while commending the awardees, assured them that the reading
I think it's important that you also move and go and experience life in some other place.
The award recipients said the recognition will no doubt add value in promoting work in the Commission for the good of the Niger Delta region.
Thank God for God to have remembered me and honor me. In fact, it's a great thing.
It's been a privilege for me to really work for the Niger Delta Development Commission. One of the best things of working in this organization is that over the years, I've got the kind of training that I never would have gotten in any other organization.
In Port Harcourt, Osinachi Abraham, NTA News.
And in politics, the All Progressives Congress National Convention Media Subcommittee has held its inaugural session with optimism for a hitch-free and transparent media coverage. Abubakar Akwanga reports.
This is the inaugural sitting of the Media Subcommittee ahead of the APC National Convention, slated to hold on Saturday this week and comprises 34 members. Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State is chairing the committee, while Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed is to serve as co-chairman. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity Garba Shehu is the chief scribe, with other top party chieftains to perform designated roles. The committee commends President Muhammadu Buhari and Governor Mimala Buni caretaker and extraordinary convention National Planning Committee for diligence and stability in the party.
We are working together with the party leadership, also as a team. We are working with the presidency and most of the major stakeholders. We are all working now as a team. So part of the work of this committee is to continue to unite the party, because this is a party to beat. We are the ruling party. We are getting stronger by the day. And that is the whole idea about getting this committee. So we have no doubt that the mandate given to us, we shall be able to deliver.
Would you say you are confident that after the convention, APC as a family will come out stronger?
Without a doubt. Much stronger, much better, much bigger, and much more united, preparing for the next phase, which is the major one, which is the election of 2023.
The committee reiterates commitment to work assiduously within its terms of reference in delivering its mandate in line with the forthcoming convention guidelines. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
We have Michael in Lagos standing by with more reports. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Kene. Fuel supply has started to measure up with demand as the once congested atmosphere at petrol stations is gradually disappearing. Dana Jale reports that Lagosians are beginning to breathe a sigh of relief after weeks of fuel scarcity in the metropolis.
A drive around Lagos metropolis shows that petrol stations that once closed their gates to motorists in the last couple of weeks on the basis of lack of petroleum products have reopened for business. Road users, however, wish that scarcity never returns to the city to enable them to get the commodity unhindered.
There's no increment, it's still 165. So it's very easy, there's no queue. If it is like this, it will be good. It's better now moving.
Everything is coming down now. I want to thank Nigerian government for put effort in place to allow the fuel scarcity to reduce.
Omaumi Oyeniyi shared her experience with NTA News crew on how the scarcity affected her movements.
It really affect everyone. I wouldn't say only me, because the place you're supposed to get to at the, let's say like 1 hour, you're getting there like 3 hours after. And let's say you're going to VI. On a norm to take VI for 200 naira, and now they take like 400 naira. That's and those conductors, you're not ready. If you are not ready to go, they say, yeah, come down, you know.
Motorists, however, appealed to government to put in more efforts at ensuring the availability of petroleum products across the country, as these will go a long way in reducing the suffering of the citizenry. In Lagos, Diana Abchale, NTA News.
The need for Nigerians to look inwards and take advantage of the nation's enormous potential instead of migrating to other countries have again been brought to the fore. Amaka Owo spoke to a cross-section of individuals and now reports.
Nigeria is a colossus with numerous endowments that can be harnessed, especially by her younger generation, or those striving to achieve greater heights. The nation, like all others the world over, has its fair share of challenges. The recent data from the African Polling Institute published in 2021 indicates that 7 out of 10 Nigerians are willing to leave the country if given the opportunity. However, in spite of the statistics, some Nigerians say there is no point relocating as no society is perfect.
There are opportunities everywhere, and even in the midst of how Nigeria looks right now, there are great opportunities. So not everybody will be in Nigeria, not everybody will go abroad. The people that are supposed to be here should stay with us, and let's build Nigeria together.
We cannot all run away if we don't wait to salvage it. If all Americans are running away, there was a time too that America had problems. There was a time British had problems. They did not bolt away and go to settle in France or something. They waited and developed it. And today they are better for it. If everybody is born today, then what country can you refer to that you come from?
I have been in Nigeria for 3 months now, and I'm really impressed. It's such a huge, diverse country.
The United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs estimation shows that figure for Nigerians in diaspora is put at 1.7 million as at June 2020. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
Time for our second commercial break, but before we go, don't forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live, on our YouTube at NTA News Online. You can also visit our Facebook page at NTA Network News, Twitter handle at NTA News Now, and on Instagram at NTA Network for updates.
His Excellency Right Honorable Aminu Bello Masari, CFR, the Chairman, and Right Honorable Dimeji Bankole, CFR, the Co-Chairman of the APC 2022 National Convention Screening Committee, hereby invites all the aspirants to the screening exercise scheduled as follows. Tuesday, 22nd March 2022, screening of National Chairman and other National Working Committee aspirants. Time to be communicated to aspirants. Venue, Katsina State Governor's Lodge, Asokoro, Abuja. Wednesday, 23rd March 2022, screening of aspirants into the zonal offices. Time 10 a.m. Venue, Katsina State Governor's Lodge, Asokoro, Abuja. Barrister Emmanuel Chukwemeka Otagburago, Committee Secretary.
Are you a taxpayer resident in Abuja? Have you taken advantage of the extension granted by FCT IRS to file your returns? The FCT Internal Revenue Service is calling on all taxable individuals and organizations in the FCT to file their annual tax returns on or before the stipulated deadline, which is the 31st of March 2022. Hurry now and comply. Visit www.fctirs.gov.ng and fill the Form G and H1 or walk into any of our offices nearest to you. Penalties await those who fail to file their tax returns. Avoid being on the wrong side of the law. File your tax returns on or before the 31st of March 2022. Together, we can build the FCT of our dream. For more inquiries, please call 0700 2200 002. FCT IRS. Taxation made easy.
Enjoy the reward that sharing brings with the Airtel Family Plan. Get bonus talk time, SMS, and data for each family member you share with. Dial *141# now. Airtel, the smartphone network.
On behalf of the Governing Council, Senate, Management and staff of the National Open University of Nigeria, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Lufemi Peters, announces the 11th convocation ceremony of the university coming up on Friday and Saturday, 25th and 26th March 2022 in Abuja and the 36 states of the Federation. The ceremony will feature a convocation lecture to be delivered by Professor Sita Ogbu, OON of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Date, Friday, 25th March 2022 at the Convocation Arena, now headquarters Jabi, Abuja, by 11 a.m., while the convocation ceremony proper will come up on Saturday, 26th March 2022, also at the Convocation Arena, now headquarters Abuja, by 10 a.m. Please note, this invitation to the convocation ground is limited to all first-class graduates, award winners, masters and PhD graduates, while other graduates are to proceed to the study center in their state capital for the ceremony. Felix Edoka, Registrar, Announcer.
Dear friend, how are you? I can smell the goodness of Easter around you. But wait a minute. Do you know you can enjoy Easter in luxurious comfort like never before? Because this Easter, Bedmates Furniture invites you to discover new levels of comfort with furniture that brings life to your home. Seriously, now is your last chance to have a memorable Easter and beyond. From 21st March to 20th April 2022, get furniture you love at unbelievable low prices with free gifts in our showrooms. Hurry now before others choose the finest units you want.
The Zenith Better Life promo is back, and it's bigger and better. You could be one of 20 lucky customers to win 150,000 naira every 2 weeks from now till January 31st, 2023. To qualify, simply open a Zenith Bank account and maintain a minimum balance of 5,000 naira. For more information, visit www.zenithbank.com/betterlife. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
You don't carry our pikin go hospital. I don't see why I go carry pikin go hospital because of ordinary fever now.
Ordinary fever? Pikin wey im body dey hot like that.
Now cloth now soak inside water take rub her body. She don't dey play even as I come out.
If na malaria na im dey worry that pikin, by now you no know say the thing for don worse pass.
Yeah. No be my generator dey do that one. Abeg make I quick call mechanic.
Carry cloth and water.
Yes. For generator.
You use cloth and water clean our pikin body. Go use that same pattern. for the generator. Make we see as e go work.
Thanks, Mama. I receive sense. So, see, I go do am correct now. Make you carry this phone and help me call the engineer. Make I carry her pikin sharp the hospital.
If fever catch you and you no go treat am sharp sharp, e fit serious pass as e dey o, especially for pikin dem wey never reach 5 years.
Do tests. If na malaria, finish your medicine. If not be malaria, your health worker go tell you wetin to do.
Na Federal Ministry of Health and American people dem bring una this message.
Introducing an all-time mega offer. Get over 50% discount in the Airtel Home Broadband mega offer. Buy a router for just 10,000 naira and get up to 240 gigabyte or a MiFi for 5,000 naira and get up to 125 gigabyte bonus data. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband by
Airtel, the smartphone network.
The issues of water and related challenges are again receiving global attention as the 9th World Water Forum opens in Senegal. Musbah Wahab reports.
Ladies and gentlemen, the inaugural ceremony of
the world literally converge on Dakar, it for issues directly connected to lives, water, and nature. And just like the event, the challenges in the sector too are large and global, with 2 out of 5 people in the world living in regions where water is scarce. It's a tale of paradox.
And when water is endangered, man is also endangered. The same goes with nature.
Population growth and increased use of water are creating water scarcity and intense competition for water.
Because the reality is that water can run out.
And so, African leaders here are concerned that despite the raw water volume on the continent, those who have access to safe one are just in the minority.
So this is the right opportunity for us to pursue the prophylaxis of pressure around water through dialogue and consultation between nations.
We need to ensure a political commitment of countries.
When all these things are discussed, you look at Nigeria, you see that these things are there. But it's also showing that, it's not only unique to Nigeria. This is something that is an international problem.
How to save water through innovative and better management, as well as harness it for domestic use, agriculture and electricity, among others, will dominate discussions here in the next 5 days. In Dakar, Musbah and Wahab, NC News.
Gender equality backed by empowerment of women and girls in line with Agenda 2030, capacity building, improved quality education, access to clean and safe water, plus health care, among other issues, were part of the subject at the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talon, made a case on behalf of women.
Achieving gender equality and empowering women and girls in the context of climate change was top on the country's agenda, as relayed by the Minister of Women Affairs, who led the country's delegation.
The government of Nigeria has taken robust steps to initiate and strengthen policies, institutional frameworks, systems and mechanisms aimed at achieving gender equality and empowerment of women and girls in line with Agenda 2030. Nigeria launched National Adaptation Strategy and Plan of Action for Climate Change in Nigeria, which seeks to minimize risks, improve local and national adaptive capacity and resilience, leverage raw opportunities, and facilitate collaboration with the global community to reduce Nigeria's vulnerability to the negative impacts of climate change on women. In addition, the federal government revised the 2021 National Determined Contribution to streamline gender across all sectors, hence the adoption of the 2021 National Action Plan on Gender and Climate to fulfill its obligation as a party to the UNFCCC.
She assured the Assembly that Nigerian women have the power to mobilize against climate change if policies that empower them are put in place. The delegation, which also had wives of state governors, have returned to the country.
Let's now go on another commercial break. To stay with us.
Beat sensitivity pain fast with Sensodyne Rapid Action Toothpaste. Sensodyne Rapid Action Toothpaste. Available in a big 100-gram tube and a small 25-gram tube.
Every harmattan, he falls sick so frequently and misses school often. I keep him away from junk food.
He also feeds me apple. She said an apple a day keeps...
If you want to keep germs away, then use Dettol soap regularly. Germs and disease spread easily during harmattan. For this, use Dettol soap. Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Dettol soap is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association. Be Dettol sure.
Check this out. It hasn't been such a long time since people first started shopping online, and it was easy to keep up with the clicks. Little by little by little by more, the clicks added up to be more than the stores, and e-tailers worked harder than ever before because they had to keep up with the clicks. All of a sudden, there are so many must-dos if you want to keep selling, like delivery there, no there, or there.
And make it tomorrow, first thing.
No time for borders. Got to stay in control, to stay in the flow and continue to grow. But we'll help you. Keep up with the clicks.
Thank you for the rejections. That taught me to keep striving. Thank you for the long hours. That taught me discipline. Thank you for the knockdowns. That taught me to bounce back. And for the unexpected victories, that taught me to never give up. Thank you for making me who I am.
Trust the Center Fresh Liquid Field Gum to refresh your confidence instantly. Center Fresh Liquid Field Gum. Trust the freshness.
When times are tough, we know that as a mother, one thing you should never compromise on is your family's oral health because they deserve the best. Oral-B, all-round protection. It's great value. It protects your mouth from harmful bacteria and also protects you against tooth holes and gum problems which can lead to tooth loss. It strengthens your family's teeth and gives them all-round protection. So remember, protect their future. Oral-B for healthier, stronger teeth in just 1 week.
Every harmattan, he falls sick so frequently and misses school often. I keep him away from junk food.
He also feeds me apple. She said an apple a day keeps...
If you want to keep germs away, then use Dettol soap regularly. Germs and disease spread easily during harmattan. For this, use Dettol soap. Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Dettol soap is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association. Be Dettol sure.
What a lovely couple.
Thank you very much, Ma.
How can I help you?
My madam here wants us to change our mattress. She says it is too firm.
It is, very uncomfortable.
But I like the mattress.
You're always complaining of backache. I'm not even going to massage you.
No.
Don't worry. I have the right mocha for you. Come with me. Mondio Plus. It's a spring mattress with a comfort layer. It is made with superior Bonnell technology, which ensures the spring core doesn't poke through. You will both enjoy it.
Hey, babe. But you're still going to massage my back here?
Thank you for the rejections. That taught me to keep striving. Thank you for the long hours. That taught me discipline. Thank you for the knockdowns. That taught me to bounce back. And for the unexpected victories, that taught me to never give up. Thank you for making me who I am.
Sports updates is next.
preparatory to Friday's first leg encounter.